Manila has seen blood before. 50 years after the original Thrilla in Manila, the name itself still carries weight. Expectation, brutality, legend. On October 29, 2025, inside the Smart Araneta Coliseum, the crowd didn't come for a chess match. They came for destruction. Two middleweights stood under the lights with records that promised violence. Sena Agbeko, built like a sculpture, a knockout artist with 23 KOs, carrying the scars of a loss to a Russian years earlier. Across from him stood Vadim Tukov, unbeaten, quieter, colder, forged in the Russian amateur system where mistakes aren't forgiven and discipline is non-negotiable. On paper, this was balance, similar age, similar size, identical weight. In reality, this was a psychological collision. Agbeko walked in with unfinished business. Tukov walked in with a plan. As the bell rang, something became clear almost immediately. This fight wasn't going to explode. It was going to suffocate. He didn't posture. He didn't throw power. He touched Agbeko with the jab like a probe, not to hurt him but to read him. Each step forward by Agbeko was answered with a half-step angle from Tukov. No exchanges, no chaos, just control. The crowd waited. Agbeko waited too. And in boxing, waiting is dangerous. Because while fans watch fists, elite fighters watch feet, breathing, reactions. Tukov wasn't fighting Agbeko's body, he was fighting his rhythm. And by the end of the first round, the most important punch had already landed, even if no one noticed it yet. Doubt. Vadim Tukov's left jab didn't look violent. It wasn't thrown with malice or desperation. It was thrown with intention. Flicked, measured, repeated. Sometimes it missed entirely, but it never stopped talking. In elite boxing, the jab is language, and Tukov spoke it fluently. Every jab forced Agbeko to reset. Every reset stole seconds. Every stolen second drained confidence. Agbeko, known for explosive finishes, found nothing to explode against. Tukov refused to stand still. He bent at the waist, rolled under counters, and slid just far enough to make Agbeko miss by inches. That matters. Misses don't just cost energy, they cost belief. Agbeko threw single shots, not combinations. One punch, then pause. One punch, then reset. Tukov noticed immediately. Russian amateurs are trained to punish pauses. Jab upstairs, jab to the body, step out, repeat. By round 2, the fight had slowed into Tukov's tempo, not Agbeko's. And that's where punchers die. Not physically, but strategically. The crowd grew restless. They wanted exchanges. Tukov wanted scorecards. While Agbeko stood tall, refusing the stool between rounds, his posture told a different story. His muscles were tight, his breathing shallow, his eyes searching. Tukov, meanwhile, sat relaxed, legs raised, expression unchanged. This wasn't fatigue versus conditioning. This was clarity versus confusion. Tukov wasn't winning with damage. He was winning with denial. Denial of angles, denial of rhythm, denial of opportunity. And every denied opportunity pushed Agbeko further from the fighter he believed himself to be. By round 3, Agbeko tried to answer. A heavy right hand landed. The crowd reacted. For a moment, the illusion of danger returned. But Tukov didn't panic. He didn't rush back. He didn't trade. He answered with structure. Jab. Angle. Exit. That moment mattered because it exposed the core problem. Agbeko could land, but he couldn't build. One punch without a follow-up is a question, not a statement. Tukov understood that. He let Agbeko have moments, then erased them with activity. Every time Agbeko loaded up, Tukov turned him, forced him to reset his feet, forced him to chase. This is where amateur pedigree shows. Russian fighters learn to win rounds, not moments. Tukov circled the ring like it belonged to him. Agbeko began reacting instead of initiating. That's the invisible collapse casual fans miss. The body stays strong. The mind hesitates. The hands slow down. By rounds 4 and 5, Agbeko's left hand dropped repeatedly. Tukov noticed. He jabbed through the gap, poked the body, touched the head, then vanished. No punishment necessary. Just reminders. Agbeko's corner begged for activity. They didn't need power, they needed volume. But volume requires comfort, and Tukov gave none. The fight drifted into something brutal, in its own way. Inevitability. The champion wasn't hurting the challenger, he was outthinking him. And as the rounds slipped away, Agbeko's path to victory narrowed to one word every boxer fears hearing late in a fight: knockout. The problem? Tukov never gave him the moment to chase it. By the 6th round, the narrative was locked. Tukov looked untouched, no swelling, no panic. Agbeko still stood strong, still sculpted, still dangerous, but danger without direction is harmless. Tukov continued to dictate geography. He moved Agbeko where he wanted him, turned him when he pressed, and stepped away when exchanges threatened to form. This wasn't avoidance. This was command. The jab that once missed began landing cleanly. Distance adjusted. Timing sharpened. Tukov wasn't getting tired. He was getting comfortable. Agbeko landed sporadically but never followed up. Every landed shot died alone. Boxing punishes loneliness. The crowd sensed it too. The fight that was supposed to explode had turned into a lesson. By round 7, Agbeko smiled, not from confidence, but from acceptance. Fighters know when the tide is gone. Tukov knew it too. He didn't chase a stoppage. He didn't force exchanges. He stayed disciplined. That's championship behavior. When the final round arrived, Agbeko tried one last push. A brief flurry. A moment of urgency. Tukov absorbed it, stepped away, and resumed control. No drama, no gamble, just certainty. The bell ended the fight, but the result had been decided long before. This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't controversy. This was accumulation. 8 rounds of small victories stacked into one large truth. Vadim Tukov was levels ahead. When the scores were read and Tukov's hand was raised, the crowd applauded, not because they saw violence, but because they saw understanding. Boxing isn't always about damage. Sometimes it's about denial. Vadim Tukov didn't beat Sena Agbeko by breaking his body. He beat him by breaking the fight itself. He removed rhythm, confidence, and opportunity. Agbeko didn't lose because he was weak. He lost because he couldn't impose himself on a fighter who never gave him permission. That matters in the modern middleweight division, where power is common but control is rare. Tukov left Manila undefeated, now holding the IBA.PRO Intercontinental Middleweight Championship, adding it to his growing collection. More importantly, he announced himself globally. This was his first professional fight outside Russia, and he didn't just win. He taught. For fans expecting chaos, this fight felt quiet. For boxers, it was loud. It screamed a reminder that the sport still belongs to those who think fastest, not just those who hit hardest. Sena Agbeko will fight again. The power will still be there. But this night in Manila will follow him, a night where muscle wasn't enough. And for Vadim Tukov, this was more than a victory. It was a statement. Championships aren't always taken by force. Sometimes, they're taken by patience, precision, and the confidence to let the fight come to you.